Olá, sejam bem-vindos ao Campo Diplomático, espaço para falar das relações entre o Brasil e o mundo. Hoje vamos falar das relações com a Tailândia. Membro fundador da Associação das Nações do Sudeste Asiático, a Tailândia hoje é o maior importador de produtos agrícolas brasileiros da região, principalmente de soja, açúcar e carnes. Nos primeiros 3 meses deste ano, o produto interno bruto tailandês cresceu 2,7%. E uma economia dependente em turismo, o país também vem desenvolvendo sua indústria nacional, exportando produtos com valor agregado. E para falar das nossas relações, recebo com muito prazer a Busadi Santipitak, secretária adjunta permanente das Relações Bilaterais do Ministério das Relações Exteriores da Tailândia. Secretary, welcome to Campo Diplomático. It's a wonderful pleasure having you here. Being able to have this opportunity at the end of a wonderful visit, an official mission to Brazil, correct?
Thank you very much for having me here. It's such a pleasure and honor to be visiting Brazil for the first time and to be able to participate in your very popular program, I hear, from the Diplomatic Corps in Brasilia.
Wonderful. It's an honor. It's an honor having you here and knowing that it's been well received. Well, you've been an official visit to Brazil. It's been quite productive, I think, visit with many meetings, including with our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, dealing with opportunities to increase commerce between our countries, also in other areas such as cooperation in agriculture, health, defense, culture. I'd like to ask you, were your expectations met?
Yes, definitely. I'd just like to outline that Thailand and Brazil, we have long-standing relations, which is multifaceted. So it covers areas from political security to economic to trade, investment, people-to-people ties, which you mentioned rightly, tourism, culture, sports, and other areas of mutual interest. So we will be celebrating a very special year next year. 65 years of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our two countries. So this meeting that I'm here in Brasilia, the main purpose is to attend the third political consultations on matters of common interest between Thailand and Brazil. Of course, I'm indeed very honored to be hosted by His Excellency Ambassador Eduardo Pérez Saboya, the Secretary for Asia Pacific of the Ministry of External Relations of Brazil. And of course, on my side, I have the team from the Department of the Department of American and South Pacific Affairs from the Thai Foreign Ministry participating, including our Ambassador Saksi Promyoti, who's Ambassador of Thailand to Brazil. And of course, it's only the third meeting between our two sides. The first 2 meetings was held a few years back, but the second meeting was held 5 years ago. So it has taken some time for us to meet, but that's, I think, because we all understand because of COVID-19, which has barred us from being in touch in person. We, of course, could have used the online method, meeting on video conference, but we thought it would be better, given the distances between us, it's always good to be able to meet in person. So I'm very glad and honored that I'm able to travel here. So this political consultations forum at this level of Deputy Permanent Secretary between the two foreign ministries give us an opportunity to review the multifaceted relations that we have, which is one, as I mentioned, long-standing, multifaceted. We have many areas of common interest, but after reviewing it, we want to see where we are at the moment and how we can further strengthen these ties in the future. So having said that, I think it's also very important to see that Thailand and Brazil, we not only have good bilateral ties, we not only have contacts at the regional and multilateral fora. So this has provided me with a good opportunity to meet and learn about Brazil's views on key important issues in the world and in the region, and at the same time allows Thailand to be able to also express their views on issues of common interest and exchange views on regional and multilateral developments. Having said that, of course, one key point that we would very much like to encourage, stemming from our discussions at the political consultations, is of course an exchange of high-level visits when it's possible. We've had meetings on the sidelines of major multilateral meetings, but of course meeting at high levels is also a key point for us to ensure that there is engagement and discussions, and of course engaging in topics of the time. So I think that's one area that we had discussed, but I just wanted to mention that Thailand, we just had elections, general elections on the 14th of May. It was very successful, and of course this election was a bit spectacular and special, much awaited for. We had about 75% turnout in voter turnout, which is quite high for Thailand. And of course, in the 4 years ago, we had a general election as well, and that was around 74.6% of voter turnout. One interesting point is that the new generation has come out to vote, to exercise their right to see how they want to shape the political economic future of Thailand. So at the moment, the results are being awaited to be formally addressed and approved by the Election Commission of Thailand. We will see the next steps towards the formation of the government. Hopefully by mid-August we'll have a full government. The majority of the high turnout of the political party, which is a Move Forward party, together with the second highest party that had won the votes is Pheu Thai Party, but it will be a coalition party right now working amongst 8 political parties to ensure that there is enough votes and seats at the parliamentary level. There will be the parliament sitting will be in July, and then election of the Speaker of the Parliament, Speaker of the House, and then the nomination for Prime Minister. So as I mentioned, hopefully we'll have a cabinet by mid-August to engage for us to be able to work with all key countries in the world that we engage in. But I just wanted to also highlight that for foreign policy objectives, I don't think that we will see much change. We'll still honor commitments bilaterally and those at the regional and multilateral frameworks. And of course, we will be focusing on our neighboring countries, which we border in mainland Southeast Asia, which continue to be a source of peace, stability, and prosperity in the region. And of course, a focus on ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which is now 10 member states. We hope we will have a full member of the 11th member of Timor-Leste soon. And at the recent ASEAN summit, the president of Timor-Leste also participated as an observer. So I think lots of developments, but we want you to look at Thailand, not only in bilateral terms, but in the regional context where we see great strength and potential with the ASEAN-Mercosur, with Brazil and ASEAN as a sectoral dialogue partner, in complementarity with the Thai-Brazilian relations, which is in very good hands.
Fantastic, fantastic. What an overview. That's incredible, and it shows how our regions are so dynamic and have very much in common. In this aspect, Thailand has made a lot of strategic free trade agreements with the countries in the region, trying to boost also its exportations, a big exporter of rice, big exporter of also industrial products. The industry and the economy of the country is growing, and also the importance of ASEAN as an association that brings these 10 nations, which Thailand is one of the founding members in 1967.
That's correct.
Exactly when it was founded. What is the importance of ASEAN and Thailand's relations with Latin America today, especially when we look at the moment that we live in, which the world has changed, and we are looking at food security, renewable energy more than ever? What is the role of the relations between the nations with Latin America?
You've exactly pinpointed the most important points of how we can engage together positively, constructively, I think for mutual benefit, not only bilaterally, but in the regional frameworks, as you indicated. In terms of Thailand, we've experienced a very good economic growth in 2022. That was 2.6%. This year, we expect to have a growth around 2.7 to 3.7%, and that's contributed because of the vital tourism sector that is growing, but not as pre-COVID times when we had 40 million visitors to Thailand. Last year we had around 11 million. As we speak, until the end of this month, we expect around 9 million. By the end of the year, we hope to have around 28 million. So that's one aspect of the people mobility and the engagements amongst the peoples, how they want to come to Thailand, not only for tourism purposes, but I think for business and looking for engagements in economic and trade opportunities and investments as well. Secondly, for ASEAN, we've always had an average growth of around 5%. Last year, it was around 4.7, 4.9. This year, again, expected to be 5.0% in terms of economic growth with the young, vibrant youth population. We also have an issue of aging population, but I think the strength of the labor and the cost of investments coming into this region is also one attraction for other countries to look to Southeast Asia. Political stability, security is there, provided that source of continued stability for the region. So we're looking at, in the long term, I think, economic prosperity. And how do we engage that with other regions in the world? Thailand, as well as ASEAN, we're an outward looking people. We always engage with, we welcome friends who want and partners who want to engage with us. And I think, as I indicated earlier, the distance should not be a factor obstructing our cooperation.
Definitely.
There are different means now, borders have opened up. Connectivity between traveling is back on track. So these business activities can certainly continue from the commercial point of view, from the investment point of view, trade and tourism. So I just wanted to highlight that despite COVID, we've had now, I think, an increase of $3.7 billion in bilateral trade between Thailand and Brazil, increased to $5.7 billion. So that's very good. I think 5 years ago, we announced that we wanted to achieve a target of $5 billion. We've reached it. So now there's more to be done. But an essential part of that, as you mentioned, looking for opportunities, meeting the challenges of the world, particularly climate change, and adapting our ways in how we export our key products. We're both strong in agriculture. We want to learn more from you about renewable energy. We want to be outward looking in terms of increased investments and, of course, looking at green transition. So for Thailand, we are very much advocating sustainable development, the 2030 UN Agenda for Sustainable Development. We are coordinator for ASEAN on sustainable development. And during our APEC 2022, we've introduced the Bio-Circular Green Economy model to meet with the long-term economic recovery process of the region. And we've been very successful as we hosted APEC last year. All the APEC economies endorsed the Bangkok goals on the BCG economy, and we want to engage with other partners of how we deal with this climate change, how do we improve our climate action plans. And one focus is, of course, on renewable energy. And trying to, this green transition becomes a priority for Thailand. And we're trying to meet all these targets, particularly carbon neutrality in 2050, and of course the zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2065.
Yes.
A key element of that is, of course, a target of producing the total production of vehicles production, 30% of that by 2030 should be electrical vehicles. So you can see that we're very much engaged in trying to meet these demands, transitioning from the traditional sources of energy to see alternative sources of energy for us. And in that light, we're all very much focusing on inviting investments in the battery production and investments in Thailand through the Eastern Economic Corridor, which is a specific flagship project. We're focusing on high-tech industries, biotechnology, biopharmaceuticals, and all these types of green transition industries in this particular area with incentives to be provided to those who are interested. So we certainly hope that Brazil will continue to increase its investments in Thailand. At now, I think there is big companies are in discussions together.
Yes.
We also have Thai investments here, particularly on the agricultural supply sprayer machinery, in renewables, the sugar cane industry turning into ethanol, which is one way.
Large exporters as well.
And we have one of the big companies here dealing with PET, and of course other, not to mention hospitality, and of course in the agricultural, particularly seafood products.
Fantastic.
So that's coming out here. So we want more Brazilian investments to look at Thailand as a gateway to Southeast Asia.
Definitely. I think
and
we have a
want
lot
to see you as a gateway to Latin
share.
America.
Definitely.
Yes.
We're going to go for a short break, and on our return, we're going to look more specifically on each one of those topics. Agora, para você que está aí, muito obrigado pela audiência. Vamos para um rápido intervalo e na volta vamos falar um pouco mais sobre cada um desses assuntos para você entender das novas oportunidades entre as relações bilaterais entre a Tailândia e o Brasil. Até já. Olá, o Campo de Volta está de volta em entrevista com Busadi Santipitax, que é secretária adjunta permanente para relações bilaterais do Ministério das Relações Exteriores da Tailândia. Secretary, once again, thank you so much for being here. On the first block, we spoke a lot about all these opportunities for cooperation, bilateral cooperation between Brazil and Thailand. Now you've come to Brazil also with a good large delegation of business men and business women to talk about the relations between the two countries on that sector. How can Thailand and Brazil improve their interaction in the business side of things, as well as interact furthermore with ASEAN as an association, which can foster mutual cooperation and economic development within our regions?
Yes, it's a very good question, and I think in addition to all the areas of cooperation that we have, that you mentioned, defense, tourism, sports and culture, these are all very important elements, but we see these amidst the global challenges in the world, looking at diversification, looking at disruption in supply chains, disruption in technology, how we can better focus on economic and trade opportunities. For this part of my trip, the second part, the embassy of the Royal Thai Embassy here in Brasilia, together with the Foreign Ministry of Thailand, they've introduced a program called the Latin America Link, which is bringing in interested companies from Thailand, in agriculture, hospitality, or different manufacturing products, who are looking for new opportunities to be able to trade and do economic investments opportunities here in Brazil. So this afternoon, we'll be meeting in Sao Paulo and meeting with all the different sectors of the private sector in Sao Paulo. I'll be also meeting with the State Secretary of Sao Paulo in charge of informing us of what the development projects are, the opportunities there are, looking at a few sites to introduce those who are newcomers to Brazil, but at the same time, just to reaffirming our commitments to Brazil of how we want to further engage in this area. So I think the bilateral component is there. We just need to continue this engagement, meetings that will take place in person, and then both sides will do our homework, bring that back and discuss it with the Thai Chambers of Commerce and Thai Federation of Thai Industries to see further opportunities and work with the Embassy of Brazil back in Bangkok. That's one area. And secondly, I think we would also like to encourage that between Brazil and ASEAN, because ASEAN just welcomed Brazil as the latest sectoral dialogue partner last year. And I think the first meeting of the Joint Cooperation Committee to look into areas of cooperation between ASEAN and Brazil has already taken place, particularly looking at sustainable development, trade and investment, renewable energy, tourism cooperation. So these are, I think, a few areas where they can be looked into further details to ensure that our pilot projects and opportunities to engage with the both sides of the regions. Thirdly, another, I think, cooperation framework amongst the regions is between the ASEAN and the Mercosur. I'm glad, as we speak, Thailand is hosting the ThaiFex Anuga Asia, which is one of the largest food and agricultural exhibitions. I hope you will be able to visit one day.
I hope so as well.
It's one of the biggest. It's equivalent to the European Anuga that takes place every year in Germany. So this is where the most innovative food, agricultural, processed agricultural products based on innovation, plant-based food, the future food, superfood are being introduced amongst the private sector, who are very keen to see the advancement in this area that would be very much suited to consumers. So in that light, I think we have the Mercosur Chamber of Commerce currently attending this fair in Thailand. So these will be open up opportunities in that light. You mentioned about the free trade arrangements that Thailand has entered with different partners, and also through different regional arrangements. Within ASEAN, of course, we have the AFTA, ASEAN Free Trade Agreement already in place, with most of the tariffs gone down. But we want to improve competitiveness, and we want to ensure that the skilled labor are also upgraded to ensure that we meet the industries that will continue to improve, to serve better the vast economic and rapid growth in our regions. So in that light, we hope that these opportunities will be met, and then the needs between two sides can be translated into concrete actions and more investment projects in both ways.
Fantastic. Well, last year, Thailand and Brazil also signed a memorandum of understanding for cooperation in agriculture, specifically targeting precision agriculture, technology transfers, as well as education in agriculture, which we also share something that is very much dialogue today, which is tropical agriculture, and how to measure things such as the carbon market, how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, as well as how to implement technology that is renewable within all aspects of our society. As well as now you've also signed a memorandum of education as well with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. How are these memorandums and these pilot projects developing, and what are your expectations for the next couple of years in terms of our strengthening of our relations?
You've highlighted the key areas, priority areas for our cooperation bilaterally, because in education we see a very strong potential to improve not only education on the aspects of linking the students, exchanges, languages, knowing about each other, historical and cultural developments, but also to create those networks amongst the youth, which I think is the most promising future, because when they learn together, they become friends, they learn about each other's culture. It's the best way to connect. Secondly, on higher education, that is where we would like to focus more on. It could be through partnerships, it could be through exchange scholarships, it could be through exchanges between universities. So this is one area that we will try to engage more in. In terms of the technical cooperation, we have a memorandum of understanding. We'd like to exchange more with you, and this is through the ABC with TICA, which is a Thailand International Cooperation Agency within the Foreign Ministry, looking at how we can better have training courses amongst each other in trying to serve work towards sustainable development goals, trilateral cooperation in third countries, and also looking at bilateral collaboration when it comes to work in agriculture, in tourism, in education, and in renewable energy, to name but a few. Thirdly, you mentioned about the MOU on agriculture. There are pending issues with regards to certain agricultural products that we need to work on, which is understandable. You know, the technical details or the regulations that we are compliant, we have to comply with your standards and our own regulations, whether it be fruits, whether it be animal products, and the like. Those are under discussion. So we hope that this year, Thailand is pleased to host the Joint Agricultural Working Group, and that there will be another meeting also on addressing the sanitary and phytosanitary measures. So I think this is a very good step where all these issues can be discussed within this year so that we can move forward.
Fantastic. Pointing out a little bit on that light as of sanitary measures and defense measures, the world is now looking at a bird flu also epidemic now. Brazil has just found about 9 cases of bird flu within not production on a production line, but only in the birds that are free and roaming around within the natural, patterns of migration within the country. It's a moment in which the whole world is looking at these defense measures, and it's something that we've seen before. Is Thailand, ASEAN, and Brazil also working on defense measures for the sanitary field as well as health in general for animals and human beings?
I think it's one area I'm sure the agricultural technical experts do very well, particularly in different regions and working through the different mechanisms that they have. And I think for Thailand, in the past, we've had our own experience with the bird flu because we are a major producer and exporter, not only in seafoods, but I think on poultry and chicken. And we had, about more than 10 years ago, we experienced that. So we had to undergo quite a strict measure of quarantining the chickens and the farming to ensure that it's in compliance, particularly with major markets that we export to. And that's only to not only complying with the import regulations, but I think to ensure to us, which is the most important point, is the consumer safety.
Yes, fantastic. Secretary, thank you so much for your participation here. It's a wonderful honor to have you. Unfortunately, we don't have much time to continue this wonderful conversation. I'd like to have much more time to talk to you, but I always invite you and diplomats from the Royal Thailand Embassy to come to our program to talk about our relations, and I hope we have another opportunity.
Thank you very much for this opportunity and for having me on your program. And I very much appreciate the opportunity to inform the Brazilian public of where Thailand and Brazil relations are, and that there is immense opportunities for us to work together for the future of our two regions and also at the global level. Thank you very much.
Bom, o Campo Diplomático fica por aqui. Eu agradeço a sua audiência e convido vocês a acompanharem este programa, entre outros, nas redes sociais do canal AgroMais, @AgroMaisTV. Te aguardo no nosso próximo programa. Até mais!